Well, hello. Welcome to our little session here with Swedish Wealth Institute. I am Max Thorin and this is Daniel Wood. He's the co-founder with his wife of the Swedish Wealth Institute. So Daniel, could you tell us a little bit, what is the Swedish Wealth Institute about?
Well, first off, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Thank you for watching.
Of course,
like you
it's
said,
an honor.
Daniel Wood is my name, and I'm one of the founders of the Swedish Wealth Institute, and it is something we are truly passionate about. What we want to do with the Swedish Wealth Institute, what we do is we bring some of the top speakers, some of the top teachers from all over the world to Sweden to teach people about entrepreneurship, about investing, about personal development, relationships, spiritual development, and about health.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to encompass what we call all parts of life. And that would be your spiritual development, your health, your relationships, and your finance and career. So we try to absorb all parts of it and bring some of the top speakers from all over the world to come here to Sweden and help people take that next step towards their goal. Because something that always frightens me, I'm an entrepreneur myself, and about 90% of all new businesses fail. And it's very even in the stock market as well. 90% of people who invest in the stock market lose their money and give up. And can you imagine that? Just if you put that into perspective, that means that 90% of all people who have a dream, who have a goal, who want to create something, they put their passion into it, they put their hope into it, they put their dreams behind it, maybe their life savings into it, 90% of them fail and lose it all.
Yeah, that's horrible.
It is, isn't it? And
Yeah.
you know, we just see that stats. People say 90% of all businesses fail.
Yeah.
And you go like, well, losers. But it's like, no, it's horrible. People lose everything. And their dream, which is the worst, it's something they dreamed, they have the guts to go after it and they didn't get it. And usually it's the smallest things that either they miss or that happens or that they weren't told or even an outside effect that they weren't expecting. And that is why we created the Swedish Wealth Institute in the first place, because with a guide, with a mentor, with someone that can help you, that failure rate goes down extremely. I've heard numbers so low as, and I don't quote me on the exact statistic, but I've heard that companies that have a mentor, that a founder is mentored by a quality business mentor, their failure rate is only 30%.
That's pretty nice swing up.
It's a huge difference. That all of a sudden means, and even if it isn't as low as 30%, what we know is at least the majority, so over 50% of those companies succeed. Instead of 10%, we're talking 50. 50% of all people who had a dream will get to accomplish it. And that's my goal, to help people reach their dreams. And at the same time, I should say, all speakers, all teachers aren't good. They are varying quality. And one of our jobs is to make sure that the people who come and speak for the Swedish Wealth Institute truly are experts in their field, that they truly know what they're doing. And that when someone sees, hey, this speaker is coming to the Swedish Wealth Institute, they know three things. They know this is a good person with good values. They know they're going to get an incredible amount of value. And that they will be able to take a next step in their business or health or investments or relationships or their personal development as a result of coming to the event. And that's our promise to anyone who attends any of our events.
Yeah, and that might be, I mean, you might be a pretty good businessman, but something in your life is holding you back, and that goes out over the business too. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like you hear so many people who sacrifice their entire lives for their business. And Robin Sharma says it very well in his latest book, The 5 a.m. Club. He says that people, a lot of young people, will give up everything for success, and they'll sacrifice their health. But the moment they realize their health is gone, they would gladly give away all their wealth and money for just one day of good health.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
Why not just succeed with good health? Because that will give you more energy and more opportunity to succeed. So finding that good, and one of our other speakers, a man called David Fabricius, who is an amazing speaker. He is truly incredible. He talks about work-life integration, where you integrate all these different parts of your life into a seamless system, where you create energy, where you create success, where you create happiness, and in your final step, you have an opportunity to give back.
Yeah.
So he talks about creating charity foundations and giving back in large scale to help other people and elevate this entire planet. And I think that's something truly beautiful.
Yeah, that is truly beautiful. And I mean, when you start out, sometimes that might seem like a foolish dream, but really when you start getting somewhere, you can see the bigger picture and the dream that you might have actually becoming true.
Absolutely. I think for a lot of people, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. And the thought of giving away is something I think most people want to do. And I mean, it's in a lot of religions. You give 10% of everything you make. But for a lot of people to seriously be able to give 10% of everything they make today would be tough. I mean, if they're just making ends meet, if you're just making ends meet today, imagine giving away 10% of everything you make. That makes it tough. But if you had more, could you give away 10% of all future pay raises? Well, of course you could. That's money you don't have yet. So if you get a pay raise now and you choose to keep 90%, you could absolutely give 10%. And if we can help people make big pay raises, get a lot more money, and they're giving away a part of that new money, well, all of a sudden they're making a huge impact, and that's where it gets very exciting. It's very fun.
Yeah, and I've been on a lot of your seminars now, and I've heard about your big goal. It's a pretty feisty one, but a really nice one. To make, how many was it?
Well, it's something we're passionate about, and it came actually from listening to a lot of what Richard Branson is doing. So the founder of Virgin. And he talks about the problems we have with the world, with global warming, with poverty and everything. And what we realized is with the Swedish Wealth Institute, we're impacting a lot of lives. And we're helping a lot of people elevate their life and take the next step. And it's something I truly love is when one of our members comes up to me and says that, wow, I've just had a huge success in my business, or I've been able to quit my job, or I've lost weight and I'm healthier. And thank you so much for being a part of that. And obviously I can't take the credit. It's the speaker that's given it to them, and obviously it's they who have taken the action. But we've somehow been a bit of a part of it. And
you're the bridge.
Exactly. We help out, and we have some amazing people. And what we realize is if we continue to expand and grow, we can influence more and more people. And my dream is to help 1 million people become financially independent. And not for the sake of the money, not for the sake of becoming financially independent, but both for the elevation of their lives, but also if they could give 10% of everything they now make as widely successful to charity, we would be able to gather about $100 billion a year, which in Richard Branson's latest book, his biography, he mentions that with only $60 billion a year, you could give everyone in the world healthcare, clean water, infrastructure, education, food. You could give everyone a good life. And that would mean we'd have $40 billion a year left to reverse global warming.
Yeah.
So that's our humble goal, is to save the world.
Yeah, and we are probably closer to doing that than we think sometimes. Of course, like any company, you have a journey, and I guess you didn't just sat there one day and let's start this. It happened somehow. So could you tell us a little bit about the start, the major points, and up to now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it is interesting. I never imagined myself being here today, doing this, running a company that runs events. And I actually, in high school, my best friend in high school was an incredible speaker. So what would happen is we'd be in class, and we'd have to do our presentations about whatever we'd studied, and he would always go up and he would have all of us just rolling on the floor, laughing, and he was just an incredible showman. And at the same time, he was a great teacher. So everyone knew whatever he had studied, we all knew it by heart because he was such an amazing speaker. I was the poor loser who always had to come up after him. So I just went up defeated because I was going up after this amazing speaker and I knew I could never live up to it. So I was a very poor speaker and I did a very, very bad job. So I could not imagine doing this, and I can tell you no one in my class, I don't think they would believe me if they knew what I was doing today. But what happened was me and Gisela, my wife, who run the Swedish Wealth Institute together, we started investing in properties. And we started buying and doing up properties and renting them out. And that's the base of the success we now live. And what happened was we met a lot of people who were doing the same thing and who just started the journey as well. So we gathered everyone together for a workshop. And we were very excited because, we're going to meet all these people who are also property investors. And, we were having this day, so we rented a room. We made everyone lunch. We stood up all night the night before, made lunch. And what was really surprising was when everyone came, they were in a horrible mood. Mm-hmm. And what's going on? We rented this place, we're giving you food, it's free. Why is everyone in such a bad mood? What happened was because we'd all gone through the same education. And when people sat down, we happily walked up on to the front of the room and we said like, hey, who's done their first property deal now? And not a single hand went up in the room. And people started, like, oh my God, we've been scammed. This doesn't work. And we realized that's why people were in a bad mood. Mm-hmm. And me and Gisela just looked at each other, looked at the room. We're like, but we've done 11. Mm-hmm. We've done 11 property deals, and that the room completely fell silent. And someone just, how? And it shifted the entire day plan. It stopped being a workshop, and it just became that we presented. We told them this is what we've done, these are how we've done it, and this is what we're doing now. And we started doing this once a month. We'd rent a room, we'd make lunch, and we started charging 100 krona for people to come, but we're still losing probably 2,000-3,000 krona per event. But it was something we did because we were having a lot of success in our property business, and we wanted to help our friends, attain success as well. So we would invite in, business partners, people we were working with, people from our teams who were doing a good job or who we'd seen some success with, and they would teach and share and give some value back. What happened though was. We brought in a business coach because there were some things we were still new. I mean, we were at the start of our journey and we had issues in our property business. So we brought in a business coach because I think that is the best way really to turn around a business is to bring in someone who's actually turned around a business before and ask them to help you. And so we brought him in and we said, hey, can you help us with our property business here? There are things that aren't working. Can you support us? And what happened was he looked at everything we were doing. And he focused in on these events we were running. And he said, well, what is this? He said, well, it's about 100 people who've all done this education just like we, and we share what we're doing, what we're failing in, what's going well, and to help everyone. It's okay. Let me understand this correct. So you have 100 people who've all spent an enormous amount of money on educating themselves in property investing. They're now coming to your events every single month, getting all this information, and you're losing money at each event. So that is exactly right. So you're idiots. He said, no, that's not what we do. That is to help. Now help us with our property business. Just stop talking about this. Let's get into the property business. But he did not let it go. He kept on about it, and for 2 weeks we went back and forth, and he was like, you got to commercialize this. This is an amazing opportunity. You could be making so much money. And we just said, look, we're not interested. Let's talk about our property business now. That's what we're paying you for. Help us out. And finally, he said, well, look, who is speaking at your events today? He said, well, it's us and people we know. He said, okay, who would be the dream to bring to Sweden? We said, well, I mean, obviously Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, who kind of started us on this journey on property, and Brian Tracy was the first person we ever saw in personal development. And that's when we got it. We realized none of these speakers had been to Sweden for over 10 years. And no one was looking at bringing them to Sweden. And we realized if they were going to come, someone had to do it. And that's when we said, okay, we finally get what you're talking about. All right, we'll go commercial, we'll do this. And that was how the Swedish Wealth Institute was born. But like I said, it hasn't been an easy journey. I mean, we started in 2016, and we opened with confidence. You know, an entrepreneur, we knew, you know, this is where we're going. We have our target. We're going to bring, you know, these amazing speakers to Sweden, and we're going to bring so much value. We're going to bring incredible speakers, and, you know, the events are free to come to, so everyone's going to share and bring their friends, and, you know, and it wasn't that easy. You know, as an entrepreneur, we tend to believe that we've created something so great that if people only know that it exists, everyone will buy it. And for some reason, they don't. And it was a journey. We had to kind of figure out our entire business model because it hadn't been created before what we were creating. So we had to figure out, how do we reach people? How do we tell them about this? And how do we get them to actually come to the event? And then how do we make money? So obviously, even if you're doing it out of a passion and out of love and out of help, the business still has to make money. It still has to be profitable because you want to grow. You want to grow because that's how we impact more people. That's how we can reach our 1 million people, is by growing. So if we don't make any money, well, then we'll contract and we're going the wrong way.
And then we're not helping.
Exactly. And finally, we shut the doors and we help no one. So we have to make money. And it took a while to figure it out. And in 2016, we opened all guns blazing. We're out to go for it. And we opened Gothenburg, we opened Stockholm, and Stockholm actually went very, very well. So we were very blessed. We knew a lot of good people. That's where we're from. But Gothenburg didn't go well at all. I mean, we could have an event with literally 3 or 4 people in the room. And, you know, we're renting a locale for maybe 10, 12,000 krona. We've flown in a speaker from another country, and that poor speaker's talking in front of a group of 3, 4 people. And you know, obviously it wasn't profitable. Obviously it wasn't fun for anyone other than maybe the attendees. I mean, they had an amazing speaker basically alone, so that was pretty cool.
But they can ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, I mean, for them it was great, but still we didn't grow. Even with that kind of an intimate group, you know, they weren't bringing their friends and we weren't expanding. So we had to stop doing events in Gothenburg, and it was very tough. I mean, as a business person with a dream, to say, all right, we have to take a step back, we have to do less. But we did. We took that decision and we reworked the business model. We talked to a lot of our clients. We got their feedback, what do you want, what do you need? And we started growing. So 2017 was an exciting year. We figured out our model. And 2018, that's when we really hit our stride. And we scored some amazing partnerships. We started working with Success Resources, which gave us access to Tony Robbins. So we are the partners for Tony Robbins in Sweden through Success Resources and can share his lessons.
Yeah, that's a good base because most personal development people know him. So,
absolutely.
So even if they don't want to see him or go to his events, they know that, okay, these guys know what they're talking about, maybe.
Absolutely, and it's an opportunity for us to bring amazing teachings to Sweden that weren't here. So that was the first step, and of course it was a first step to reaching our goal of bringing Tony that we set when we started the company. So that was huge. We also started working with Randy Zuckerberg, who actually created Facebook Live, and who's created Zuckerberg Media, and she has a mentorship program where she helps startups go from startup to billion-dollar company. Because she's done it multiple times. And we are now the exclusive partner of the Zuckerberg Institute, her teaching organization for the Nordics, where we can bring these teachings to Sweden, bring her lessons, bring her way of, you know, running a company, running a startup, so that more and more people can reach that success and reach that level. And it's with access to people like this. We work with Kim Kiyosaki. We've had her speak. We're looking at a new date to have her come back. And I mean, she wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, the book that got us started. And bringing these speakers in, that really changed the business for us in 2018. So that allowed us to do more events in Stockholm, expand back into Gothenburg, and we've done some amazing events now in Gothenburg where we've had well over 100 people in the room. So it's a far cry from those starting days when we were 3-4 people. Now we have real events with a lot of wonderful, glorious people. And we've been able to open Malmö and Uppsala and Västerås and Örebro, And we're looking at expanding out into the rest of the Nordics, like we had said, with the Zuckerberg Institute and the rest of the world.
It's a little bit like a medieval crusade almost.
Exactly.
Conquer Gothenburg, but you had to walk home with sad faces, but then you came back and conquered it.
Exactly. Well, it is. Business is in many ways. It's a campaign. You're going out. You're trying to till new ground, and it can be very difficult. It can be very disheartening, and that is one of the greatest challenges. Is what do you do now? I mean, we failed in Gothenburg. Was it because our business was wrong? Was it because it doesn't work, or was it that we were just not ready? And it's very hard to be persistent when you don't really know, especially when we're doing something completely new. But I think that is the biggest key if you're going to succeed in business. It's to be consistently persistent and just keep going through anything.
I mean, you had some competitors, I know, but they couldn't keep it up, I guess. And you were the ones that did, and then now you have the great speakers.
And I think it's a lot like that in many businesses, because we opened up a new industry in Sweden, and what happened was people saw it and said, well, that looks easy and that looks profitable, let's go. And so 2-3 competitors opened up within the next 6 months, and we were doing pretty much the exact same thing, and we kept trying to iterate, innovate, become better, and so were they. But one by one, they threw in the towel and said, no, we're done. This wasn't as easy. This wasn't as fun, or we're doing something else. And we persisted, just kept on going, kept facing the challenges, and finally, I shouldn't say figured it out, because you've never figured it out, but we at least got our head above water and could breathe and could start taking that next step.
Yeah, interesting. And why should people, how do they know if they're gonna join the Swedish Wealth Institute? Like, how do they know that it's for them? Is it for everyone, or?
Well, what I would say is, first off, what's important to realize is the Swedish Wealth Institute is not about me. It's not about Gisela. So whether you like me or not, you're still welcome to come. But it's not about me. It's about the speaker, and it's about the attendees who come to the event. So what you really want to do is not look at maybe the Swedish Wealth Institute overall. You want to look at who is speaking at a certain event, because you could love what we stand for, but a certain event might just not be right for you. And so it's important to look at the speaker, because each event and each speaker is unique, and they have a unique message and a unique lesson. And what we say is we mainly target or work with entrepreneurs and investors, usually in the startup phase, to help them grow and get over the 90% failure rate. But like I said, we touch all parts of life. So it could also be if you just want to get started in health or improve your relationships. But our core group are entrepreneurs and investors that we work closely with. And what it's really is, if you have a big dream, a big goal, or just you want to make a big change, it takes help. It's very, very difficult to do alone. So this is a community where you can meet other people who are on that same journey, doing the same things, and learn from some of the top speakers from all over the world. And I think that opportunity, that combination, is something that can make a huge difference for a lot of people in their lives. So that's what I would do is check out our website, swedishwealthinstitute.se, or our Facebook page, and see what events are coming up and see if it's something that appeals to you.
Yeah, well, what do we have now in 2019 coming up?
Well, we have a lot of very exciting events. So depending on when you watch this, we'll have events about property investing. So for those who want to get into property, we have speakers doing property investing. Obviously, Tony Robbins events where you get a 3-hour taste of what Tony Robbins teaches. And the Zuckerberg Institute, so if you're an entrepreneur and want to learn how to build a billion-dollar company, well, you want to come listen to what Randy and her team has to teach. And we also have about cryptocurrencies. We have 2 different speakers who teach about crypto. And that is a very exciting market, but it's very difficult. There's a huge failure rate there, even worse than in other parts. So it's very, very important that you get good teaching. So that's why we bring in speakers about that. We have teachers about stock investments. We have personal development with, especially now we have a great partnership with a man called David Fabricius, who's been teaching for the past 20 years. He's been teaching some of the richest people in the world about how to elevate their lives and reach more success. And if I say, if he's good enough to teach billionaires, he's good enough to teach me. And I can say when I've seen him live, he is one of the best speakers in the world. I put him up in the same class as people like Tony Robbins and Robert Kiyosaki. He is amazing. And I've learned so much from him. And he's doing a 3-hour intro for us, and he's coming back to do a workshop, and I'm so excited to attend. I obviously had to buy a ticket myself, so I'm going, and I'm so excited because we're going to learn so much. So there are so many different things that are coming up that it really, you have to find what is right for you, where are you going, what do you want and need, and I can tell you if you come, it can truly elevate your life.
And I would say you just come barely for the inspiration, if something, because I know you brought in, I don't remember his name, but he's a Mount Everest climber.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
we
he
had
told some stories that just when you sit in your little room at home or whatever, it's hard to see the big things that can be accomplished, and just to hear some of it and get to almost be there when they tell about it is really impactful to get your drive going.
And it's one of my mentors, a man called Barry Llewellyn Davies, who he's climbed Everest. He's a businessman, first and foremost. He's an amazing business system. But at the same time, to completely unplug from the world, he does crazy things like climbing Mount Everest. He's done the Marathon des Sables, which is 5 days in a row. You run a marathon crossing the Sahara Desert. And he's done that, and he's done some amazing feats to challenge himself and to unplug and to see which levels he can reach. And I mean, it's truly inspiring. I after working with Barry, I became a triathlete, so I do triathlons now. So just getting into these things, it inspires you to do more and want more from your life.
So what is it that keep your faith up in the hard days? Of course, it's a lot of excitement and happiness in the times now because things are rolling and stuff, but as everyone, you have bad days. You have a big dream. How do you keep the faith when you feel like, I really could just lie down on a beach somewhere and take it easy?
Well, it's as you said, we have a big dream, and I think that is important to kind of keep where we're going in mind. I mean, I have 3 sons, William, Alex, and Arthur, and they're inheriting this earth after us. So, I keep that in mind as what I'm doing is saving the world, which is fun to tell your kids because they're watching superheroes. And, so it becomes a fun little banter, but it's something I'm passionate about, and helping people reach that level so we can together save the world. And so that's important to remember. But as you say, it's not all been good days. I mean, there's a lot of people who take offense by the word wealth. They don't understand when we say wealth, we mean living a wealthy life. That doesn't mean purely money. That is your money, that's your health, that's your relationships, it's your spiritual development, it's your career, it's all parts of life. And some people, usually they've never been to any of our events, but they'll complain. They'll say, look, this isn't, this can't be good. Everyone can't be wealthy, or, this, obviously if they're teaching people to be wealthy, it's got to be a scam. And they look a lot, and they might look at me and say, well, they don't think I am successful enough to lead a wealth institute. And I think they've completely misunderstood what they're looking at. And it's because they haven't been to one of our events. I mean, obviously, if you just look at anything from the outside, you don't know what it is. If you've never had an iPhone or a Mac computer, you don't know why are people raving about using a Mac. But for me, it's a challenge sometimes to try to get our message across, get what we're doing across. And if you're looking at me, you're looking at the wrong thing, because it's about the speaker. And it's about these amazing people who come here, donate their time to give back and give value, and the amazing people who come to the events to learn and improve and grow their lives. And I think for us, I mean, every one of us can have a wealthier life. Just look at, if you go back 200 years ago and look at the way, the kings and queens lived, they would trade that in a heartbeat for the life of the poorest people in Sweden today. Because that's how wealthy a life, a society we're in. So why not continue to elevate that? Why not help as many people as possible succeed? Because if more entrepreneurs succeed, that creates more jobs. If more investors invest and succeed, that means more money is being pumped into the economy. We can raise the economy and make it better for everyone together. And
so
that's
you just remind yourself about the vision, and like you are sitting on the facts that they might not. So when hardship comes against you, you just remind yourself.
I know why I'm doing it. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. And I have a big faith in that everything happens for a reason. And I don't know if it's because of God, the universe, or intelligent design, whatever you want to call it. But I believe that everything happens for a reason, and that no challenge is thrown at you that is bigger than what you can handle. And it's all there for a lesson. So we've had huge challenges. I mean, we had to give up Gothenburg. We've had people dislike us, and I'm very sensitive to things like that. I like being liked. I think that's one of the reasons I like speaking, is because I get to connect with a lot of people. But it's not always easy. But if you remember why you're doing it, where you're going, and remember that this challenge came to me because it's something I need to learn. And as Brian Tracy says, every challenge is like a gift. And the challenge is unwrapping that gift. Because once you successfully unwrap that gift, you'll find the little gem in the middle. And it's very hard. Some challenges are huge. We have some challenges now we're facing, and we're very excited about what will happen when we overcome them. Because it will be amazing. But you always have that nagging little voice saying, but what if you don't? What if you don't overcome it? And that's where it's about, I will. And if I don't, it was because I'm meant to take a different direction, and I'll do something different.
And you still did a lot of good in the
Exactly. It's like Les Brown says, if you aim for the stars, at least you'll hit the moon. The problem is that most people don't aim higher than the roof of their house. So the problem is not that you aim too high and you miss it, it's that you aim too low and you hit it. So by aiming for the stars and hitting the moon, you might have failed in one aspect, but you still hit the moon. That's pretty good. People are still talking about the moon landing today. So it's a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah, it's an interesting little science project they have about something with candy and kids, and that they put kids in a room with the candy, and the kids that doesn't eat the candy, because then they get another candy. So maybe to explain that, like you get a double-sized diamond if you wait and are persistent and hold out. So in the future, now you have a good arsenal of speakers. So if someone out there is watching, who do you want to come and speak for the Swedish Wealth Institute?
Well, Tony Robbins, if you're watching this, I want you to come to Sweden. Seriously, for me, we have we have amazing speakers that are coming. Kim Kiyosaki, Randy Zuckerberg, but there are some I dream. And our first goal we set was to bring Tony Robbins to Sweden. So that's something I really want to do. And I don't want him to just come and do like a 90-minute speech or a one-day speech. I want him to come and do a full 4-day Unleash the Power Within here in Stockholm. So that's one of my big personal goals. In addition to that, there are so many amazing speakers. I'd love to bring Michelle Obama or Oprah. Just these incredible people who've done so much and changed the world, and have them come to Sweden and impact the people here to see what is possible. How can you do it? What do you need to do? Why do you need to persist? It's one thing if I say it. It's one thing if they experience it. And it's one thing if a person experiences the results of persisting. and have one of these amazing authorities tell them that you can do it. We believe in you. Take that next step. And that's what I want. I want to be able to bring these people to Sweden. I think it could truly help change the entire society and help more entrepreneurs get success and reach that next level.
I mean, accomplishing things can be hard, and everyone has their top tips, I guess. It's a lot of successful people out there, and it's not only one perfect tip. But for you, what's your top 3 things that keeps your weeks together, makes the plan work?
Well, I have a couple things I do, and that I see that are important if you're going to succeed. The first is really to have a clear goal, a clear idea of where you're going, have it written down. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, in his biography, talks about how he had index cards where he's written down, exactly his goal, exactly where he's going, where he's going to live, how many, what car he's going to drive, what he's going to do, exactly what he wants. And I did that about 12 years ago myself, and we put up a vision board with our dream house and our dream life and everything. And we live in a house that now looks exactly like the one on our vision board.
That's scary.
It took 12 years to get there.
Yeah.
But once we did, we're there. And I think it's something that you need to see every day. You need to know where am I going? Why am I going there? And so you have an idea of what does it take and why are you sacrificing today. So I think that's a very important first step, is to have a very clear vision of where you're going. And it might be a goal. I mean, 12 years ago, I had no idea how I was going to live in a house like that. I mean, I'd never invested in anything. I had no idea at all. But I kept just imprinting that. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. And what Arnold did a lot was he was very entrepreneurial. He would go out and he would do business, and he would reinvest that in college education. So he would continuously be educating himself, and he didn't do it to get a good degree. He did it to learn, and he sought out mentors. And that's something we've done a lot, is find mentors that can teach us and support us, because we knew where we were going. We had no idea of how to get there. So we tried to find someone who could tell us, how do we get there? And so that's been powerful for me. The second is to make a very clear-cut plan for how do I get from where I am now to where I'm going. And this is a funny exercise, because it's a very important exercise to make a very clear plan. Brian Tracy talks about going from your end goal and then working back 3 months at a time to your current state. I found that really difficult. I think more from today and forward. So I've always worked my plan from today and out. And what was exciting for me was when I realized, okay, so when I did this, I really had no idea how I was going to reach my goals. And often today I don't. I have very high goals for myself. And it's not clear, I can see, all right, if I do these things, that's awesome, but I still have a gap. So I don't know where that's going to come from. But I'll figure it out as I get there. But the exercise of making a very clear plan is important, because it gives you an idea and it gives you a direction, and it lets you know, okay, I'm going to that point there, and I'm here now, and this is how I'm bridging it. Well, what will happen is challenges will come up in your way, in front of you, and what they say is the best battle plans are useless once the battle gets started. But just knowing the basic plan, just knowing what you're going to do, that allows you to kind of control your troops if you're a general.
Have a little bit of rope in the middle to grab back at.
Exactly, and it keeps you kind of centered, so that you know that, okay, this is the tools I have at my disposal, this is where we're going, so I can use these tools. And what's exciting then is when these challenges come, is because as a business person, you have to make a decision. When you face a big challenge, like for example for us in Gothenburg, when we had to give up Gothenburg, we had 3 different options. One was to persist, which we did for a year, and we still didn't reach traction. The second was to realize that this doesn't work, our business models doesn't work, we have to give up. And the third is to make smaller changes. And I think a lot of people choose the give up too soon. And as Napoleon Hill once wrote, is most people give up 3 feet from gold. Just before they're about to succeed, that's when they give up. At the same time, though, we persisted for a year without succeeding. And I don't think where we were at that time, if we'd continued another year, we would not have had more success in Gothenburg. So we had to take a step back and take a view, but that did not mean giving up the business. That did not making a major change. What it did mean, it meant that we had to continuously challenge ourselves to find new ways to improve the experience, to improve the value, to reach out to more people. And every day, just like, okay, what can we do better today than what we did yesterday? What's a new plan? What's a new strategy? What's a new tactic that we can implement to just get a little better, 1% better today than we were yesterday? And by just becoming a little better every day, doing small things, like Darren Hardy says in his book, The Compound Effect, making small changes over time compounds into a huge impact. If you just get 1% better a day, that means you're 365% better. That's over 3 times better in a year. And I think that's what we really did, and it helped us get to the point where we are today. And now the third kind of thing I do, and this I think is pretty unique. It's something I do, and I think it works for me. It's not going to work for everyone, but I have a lot of things I want to do each day, and I have habits I want to do. I want to meditate. I want to train. I want to get a certain amount of work done, and hopefully we make some money that day. And I want to spend time with my wife and with my kids, and I want to eat right. And so I have these different things I want to do, and I want to read personal development and biography, business. So I have this is what I want to accomplish in a day. And to me, a very powerful way of doing it is because I've got a sports background, so I come from a sports background. So what I've done is I've created a point system. So every day I have to get 28.5 points. And different things I do can give me a certain number of points. And then if I continue to work, I can get more top points, or if I train more, I can get more points, or so I can build me up. But I'm not allowed to go to bed until I've filled my points quota, which means that for me, what happens is I'll come in and I'll have I'll be there in the evening, and I'll see, oh no, I procrastinated during the day. I didn't do what I had to do during the day. Because if I work hard during the day, I can be done to 5, and then I just spend the time with my kids, and I meditate in the evening, and I'm good. But if I procrastinated during the day and I come home and I still got 5 points to go. That means I either have to put in a couple hours of work, or I have to do some extra training, or read. So what I often do is I'll go down to our gym that we have, I'll put on a personal development audiobook, and I'll train, so I can double points for the evening. But I find ways, what that does for me is it makes it a competition. It rewards me when I succeed, because I'm a competitor, so I'm competing against other days, and I don't want to just hit 28.5, I want to crush it. So I saw, hey, I got 1.5 plus yesterday, let's get 2 points today, let's get 3 points, let's expand. And it allows me to grow, it allows me to get better, and it allows me to add new habits.
Do you keep track of it also, so you can go back and shit, this month I've been only hitting it exactly. This month I really want to break a record.
I want to crush it. No, I have a book that is purely for my points. So every day I write, the 12th of February, and then I'll track my points during the entire day, and at the end of the day I sum it up. Next day, I'm going below, and I see, okay, how am I doing? So I'm competing against myself, and for me that is a huge reward when I win. So that is big for me. And at the same time, if I don't do it, I punish myself because I'm not allowed to go to sleep. I have to do what I need to before. So it becomes a good challenge for me. And at the same time, it allows me to add new habits. So for example, I want to drink 3 liters of water a day. So what I can do is I can track, for every liter of water, I get a point. And I add that into my system. Obviously now that means I can't just get 28.5 points, I now have to get 31.5 points. Because I can't make it easier. I have to raise my level to accomplish the new habit as well. But that way I can do it, and my choice now is either I drink 3 liters of water, or I do an extra 1.5 hours of work. Or I work out for an extra hour, or I read personal development for a couple hours, or I just drink my 3 liters of water. So I might as well.
Yeah.
And I have some points like that are, I can't, if I drink 4 liters, I don't get 4 points. It's 3 liters I want to drink, so I get 3 points. Which means, either I do that, and it's pretty easy, or I spend 2 hours extra working that day.
And it's a written down goal. It's not just something it's not just a thought that is, I should do this, maybe.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then it comes up and you're like, nah.
Yeah.
It's there. It's like a law. You shouldn't walk over the street when the car is coming.
Exactly, yeah, and I track it, I hold myself accountable, and there are consequences for me if I don't do it.
Yeah.
Like if I don't meditate in the evening, that obviously has health consequences if I don't, but you don't really think about that one day here or there. But for me, that's 2 points. That's an extra hour of work. So I might as well just meditate for 20 minutes. It's much easier points to get.
Yeah.
So it makes it fun.
Yeah, and you get a little bit done all the time. Like I don't read that much at home, but I go by bus a lot and I go by train a lot. So then I push myself a little bit less now, but more the last year. Just every time I could sit down on a bus or a train, read. And slowly you have read a couple of books and you're like, wow.
That's awesome. You learn so much.
Yeah.
And in my system, you would get a bunch of points.
Yeah.
So you get a little reward for it.
Yeah.
And because that's the thing, is when you're reading these powerful books about these incredible people, you're absorbing this into you. But that also means you're not really seeing it because it's just integrating into the person you are. So you often don't truly latch on to like, oh my God, this amazing idea, but it changes you. It makes you better. So I reward myself through my little point system so that I get inspired to keep doing it, even days where I don't feel like it. And what it's done for me is I switch off the TV and I sit and read. And it's actually so much more relaxing to sit and read a book. And so I read, when I need to relax, I read a biography. Yeah, it's a story. It's basically a novel. It just happens to be about a true, amazing person. And so I can relax. I'll sit and read for an hour if I need to. And that's instead of wasting an hour watching TV. Obviously, I do watch TV too, but I have to hit my points first.
Yeah. So to sum up this amazing talk we had, what's an amazing quote that's your favorite?
Well, can I choose one of my own?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Got to use one of my own. Well, actually, I was quoted in a newspaper saying this, and it's something I truly believe in. What I say is there are no unreasonable goals, only unreasonable deadlines. So what I believe is that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. Obviously, you might not be able to make $10 million in the next 6 months, but if you give yourself enough time, absolutely. So there are no unreasonable goals, only unreasonable deadlines.
I agree, even though life might not be long enough sometimes.
That might be a problem. That might be a problem, but the deadline is the issue, and sadly we all have an expiration date.
Yeah, life.
Yeah.
Well, thank you a lot.
Thank you so
it's
much.
Been amazing talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Stay blessed.